There were people who were going in and out, but for the most part, it was peaceful.
Yeah, so you didn't see anything like this?
No, nothing. This is unprecedented. To see this where they're blocking traffic like this, no,
yeah.
there was nothing like that happening downtown.
Just incredible. I can't imagine, you know, those people that you were mentioning who had planned to go down here, I doubt they've even made it because this backup has been going on for hours. Now let's go ahead and toss it to ABC 15. Steve Irvin, he's actually on the phone with us. He is down at the Trump rally, at that event happening at Fountain Park in Fountain Hills. And Steve, do people inside of that event know what's happening outside of it? I mean, what's the feeling like there?
I don't think a lot of people here really even know that the protest is taking place. There were a lot of people who came down here very early on. In fact, when we arrived here, if you're familiar with Fountain Hills Park, there was a line to get in, and that stretched all the way around the lake, clear to the other side of the lake. And so there are easily thousands of people here who are waiting. The rally was supposed to start right about now, but I just got off the phone with a source of mine inside the Trump campaign who tells me that his motorcade, which is supposed to make its way out here, still hasn't left the downtown area. So at this point, I don't think any of these folks know that they've got a long wait ahead of them. And it's a very warm day out here, as you can imagine. Temperatures expected to top 90 degrees. We've seen a number of people already starting to kind of wither in the heat. In fact, paramedics have been pretty busy just helping folks out with trying to cool off, trying to get some water for them and that sort of thing. But at this point, I'm not sure how many people really realize what's going on outside at this point, because it's a packed house here. There's a lot of people waiting to get in.
All right, Steve, thank you. I don't want to cut you off, but we got to let you see this here developing right now. Just seconds ago, they finally moved some of those protesters, and they moved a lot of those trucks. And look at this. Cars are finally able to get through after hours of gridlock. This is just incredible to see, because a lot of these people weren't even able to back out, get out any kind of way, have been stuck sitting there in this line. This backup goes for miles, and they have finally been able to move. I want to say they haven't even been able to move in the last 2.5 hours. They've just been sitting here, and you are seeing these images live now as they unfold with Air 15 as it's all happening here. Now, as Steve mentioned, Trump's motorcade doesn't seem to have left downtown yet. They've got to get through all of this here, and I imagine that that is going to be a huge undertaking while there. Now, you were inside, Nick. I want to bring you back in this for just a second here. What was he talking about? What was the feeling there? Are you able to tell us anything?
Well, it's funny because actually there were people who were checking their phones inside of that town hall event, and they were getting tweets and different updates, and they were being told that this was happening, that this gridlock was taking place. So some of them were actually shouting to Sheriff Joe Arpaio, you know, what are you going to do about it? And he just said a few times, my people are going to take care of it, my people will take care of it. And he was just insisting that his deputies would be on scene. But this is, I mean, really unprecedented to see this large scale of a protest to try to block that many people from accessing this event. But as you just mentioned, it does look like cars are finally able to get back in. You can see some people getting into that car there, almost as if people had stopped and stalled. I mean, it looks like those people are just pulled off to the side and parked. We were getting reports that some people might even be leaving their cars and just walking to the event because they weren't exactly sure when they would finally get there.
Now, Air 15 is pulling out right now so we can get a better idea of how far this backup stretches. Now, I know that the Highway Patrol actually was helping this situation here. I'm not sure if they were able to let people back up and just get out this way, but it looks like a lot of cars have already been able to get out of this traffic jam. As I mentioned before to you, Nick, I mean, it was backed up for miles and miles and for hours and hours as well, and it finally looks like a break here. Deputies are making quick work of this here, and now cars are finally being able to go through into this rally. But take a look at these images that we had captured before. Incredible here. And what you're seeing right now is a little bit earlier, those cars that were stopped there, people sitting on top of them, locked themselves to the doors of those cars to make sure that they wouldn't be taken away. We saw one woman who was locked to that vehicle. It looks like she was taken away by MCSO. Right now, this was another scene here because these protesters blocked two entrances into this here on Shea, one that was off of 87, and then the other side of that was just off of Palisades Boulevard. The only ways to really get into Fountain Park, where this rally is happening, I should say, that was supposed to start about 10 minutes ago. We did hear from Steve Irvin just a minute ago, who's down there at this event right now, and he mentioned that his sources are telling him Trump's motorcade hasn't even left downtown, so we are expecting this to be a late start. He mentioned that it's hot out there. Sometimes things can get uncomfortable. Tempers flare. People have been out there for hours. I saw a lot of heavy exchanges of words just watching it all unfold online at abc15.com as Air 15 was live over this scene. Now, on the right-hand part of your screen, you're seeing a live look right now of where this rally is going to be. You see the podium there, the MCSO deputies behind it there. And that is where Trump is going to be speaking to the people who are at this event right here. He spoke earlier in Phoenix. He'll be in Fountain Hills shortly, and then he is scheduled to be in Tucson.
Okay, I want to bring in Mary Ellen Resendez because she is actually inside the venue right now in Fountain Hills. Mary Ellen, what are you hearing on scene?
I think this is Mary Ellen live. We are here at the corner of SR 87 and Shea Boulevard. And right now you can see, hopefully from the chopper video that we're showing overhead, it's hard for me to see on the phone or exactly what you're seeing. But we have dozens and dozens of DPS cars. We had protesters that came out. They're from Estop, Arizona, a lot of them from Fuente. And they blocked Shea Avenue. So a lot of the Trump supporters are basically just deserting their cars onto Highway 87. Some of those cars now being towed. They were warned that their cars might be towed, but this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance for them to actually see Donald Trump. So they not only left their car stranded on 87, but they actually hiked in about 3 miles. Now, I was actually in the middle of the protesters when they were dispersing them, and the way they were doing it is they were just pushing them with GPS cars and sheriff vehicles, not physically touching them, but pushing along until they finally just broke out and were walking along the side of the street. There were a few confrontations with sheriff deputies. Temper is definitely very, very heated out here between the protesters who want to stop this rally and also the rally goers who want to get in. In fact, we were just talking to somebody who said she is just so disappointed. She got her ticket, she was ready to go, and she is now stranded out here near 87 and Shea Boulevard. So that's pretty much the scene here. It was very heated. It is breaking up. We just spoke with a sheriff's deputy who says they do expect to open this roadway soon, so hopefully some of those protesters can get in.
Yeah, Mary Ellen, we've already seen it into one location, but it looks like Air 15 is headed to the west location, I'm sorry, on the east side there, and that's another location that's possibly blocked. But pretty remarkable to hear people parking their cars and then hiking some 3 miles just to get to this venue. It's a similar story that a lot of other people have been reporting. Mary Ellen, we know you're going to stay on top of that for us and, of course, keep us posted.
Now let's go ahead and bring back in our very own Steve Irvin, who's down at that event. They're happening at Fountain Park. He's there at that rally right now. And, Steve, what can you tell us about that atmosphere right now?
Well, a lot of folks waiting. What's interesting is that they had the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance. They played the national anthem, and they're right now making an announcement just to get folks to stay hydrated and to try to stay cool here. But organizers here may not have gotten the word that Donald Trump was still well downtown, which would put him 45 minutes to an hour away from the rally. It is a pretty packed rally. I'm not very good at estimating crowds, but it's definitely numbering in the thousands. They've filled up the area that you have to pass through security for right in front of the podium. That is at capacity right now, and there's a lot of people that are lined up on the hillside that sits behind that at this point. And I'm going to guess probably 5,000 at least people from my vantage point. But again, I don't have an exact estimate on how many people are here. What's interesting is there would be some room for some more folks still in parts of the park, and we're not seeing that many more people arrive. That could be because of these protests, the fact that people just can't get here. But I can tell you a lot of people really arrived early, and we left this at the TV station this morning at about 8 o'clock or so, didn't run into virtually any problems getting here whatsoever. So obviously these protesters have really slowed things down.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much for that perspective. Being inside of there, just incredible images that you are seeing. They're unfolding right here in our own backyard in Arizona. We do know that these protests are starting to break up a little bit here. MCSO making work of that, trying to clear these areas so that people can attend this rally. It was backed up for miles and miles.
Yeah, I want to get to Jamie Greenberry, who's on the phone. She's an ABC 15 viewer and is has actually been stuck inside all of this. Jamie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Jamie, from your vantage point, what are you seeing?
I see like 25 police cars. Traffic is backed up for miles.
And you're outside of the venue, correct?
We're on, yeah, the shape from the 202. We started at 9 o'clock. We were on the other side trying to get in off of the 101. I'm sorry, we're new to Arizona, but we were stopped at the light, and for 20 minutes and oncoming traffic, someone stopped and told us, oh, protesters have stopped traffic. You guys everyone might as well turn around and come through the other way. Well, we get this way, and they have it blocked off. And now we parked on the side of the road here, and they're saying your cars might be towed because everything is blocked off. But to me, I feel as an American citizen, we both have our rights. And I understand protesters and not everybody agrees on things, but they also have laws that they have to follow and regulations that they have to follow.
Okay, Jamie, thank you very much. We appreciate your input. You just heard from her there, who was at this scene on Shea and near State Route 87, where one of those blockades sort of was at, where those protesters had stopped people from going in, and that backup had gone on for miles and miles. So many cars stuck in this situation since these protesters started setting up about 2 hours ago, about 2.5 hours ago is when all of this really started to kick off here. And it started with 2 trucks on the Shea Boulevard entrance near Palisades Boulevard into Fountain Park. That's where it all started. We saw the signs, the people coming out, and then the deputies coming out, and also the zip ties coming out as well. The tow trucks trying to get these cars taken away, these vehicles taken away, and let people through. And 2.5 hours later, finally, cars are starting to go through in some areas. But as we see with Air 15 over the scene now, still a bad backup. Cars are being let in one at a time. It's just not a good situation for what's happening down there. You see Highway Patrol kind of guiding everybody through right now. Now, we've seen some incredible images unfold throughout the day today. We've seen people who locked themselves to their cars around the neck, around their waist, making sure that they can't be taken away. And excuse me, yeah, we do want to show you these backups here right now. I'm sorry, this situation is developing, as we've mentioned throughout the morning here. Look at those backups, all those people stuck, finally starting to go through. I mean, this was gridlock just a little bit ago.
Yeah, this is State Route 87 northbound here. We just passed it, but we saw, gosh, it had to be dozens and dozens of vehicles pulled off to the side and parked, which I think is just a testament to what we've been hearing from a number of people. I know Mary Ellen spoke to a woman who parked and then hiked some 3 miles. I was hearing reports of people stopping, parking, and then walking the rest of the way. And that's, I think, exactly what we were seeing there with those vehicles pulled over to the side. But you can see, I mean, this backup, it just goes for miles and miles there because, yes, in some areas, the blockades have been removed, but we have to remember it's going to take a long time for them to relieve all of this traffic and clear out all of those backups, especially if they're only letting people in one by one. You have to think about it, too. These events we know are going to be crowded. They're going to have a lot of cars anyway. And then when you add into all of that, these, people blocking traffic, of course, that's only going to exacerbate the situation and make it a whole lot worse. And so that's what we're seeing right now. You can see the northbound there just totally blocked, cars just kind of inching by, trying to clear all of that traffic back up out.
Absolutely, and we have been told in just the last few minutes or so that a lot of these protesters have been removed, a lot of people walking back to their cars. As a matter of fact, you saw it live on our screen here just a couple minutes ago, those people finally getting back into their vehicles no matter where they had parked. They did have to walk back because a lot of them getting out, like you mentioned, pulling over, getting out, seeing what's happening, or just walking away. Now they got to get back in those vehicles and start moving, which now they can do now that a lot of of those protesters have been removed. Now, we are still keeping our eye out at Fountain Park, where Trump's rally is scheduled to start hopefully any second here, but it was supposed to start at 11, so about 20 minutes ago. We're already running a little bit behind schedule, as you can imagine, when you're dealing with a situation like this.
Well, I think it's pretty remarkable, too. When we spoke to Steve about 10 minutes ago, he was hearing from his campaign sources that Trump hadn't even left the downtown location yet. And I was at that rally, and it wrapped up at about 10 after 10, 10:15 or so. So he was still stuck there an hour after it even ended. So
yeah.
Just to hear that is pretty remarkable.
And you know what's going to be interesting? I think a lot of us are going to be waiting to see and hear if he addresses this situation at his Fountain Hills rally. I have to assume that he knows what's happening here, that people have shown him the images of what's been taking place throughout the last couple hours.
Yeah, I want to bring in Steve Irvin again. Steve, I understand you're getting an update from your campaign sources.
Yeah, I've just been told that Trump's campaign motorcade has left the downtown area, and I was able to talk to some of the folks who are in this right in front of the podium area where they were here very early. Some of them arriving 6, 7 o'clock this morning. It was news to them that he hadn't left the downtown area just a few minutes ago when I was able to speak to them. And people there are frankly a little bit worried at this point because they're crowded together. There's a lot of people packed in, and the temperatures are on the rise. People have already seen a couple of folks actually collapse and faint in the heat. They are passing out water. They're urging people to try to stay cool, and they're actually setting up some additional shade for folks. But a lot of folks, big disappointment that they'd still be waiting at least an hour or so before Trump even arrives.
Steve Irvin, thank you so much. That is a very important update for everybody to know that Trump has now left. His motorcade has now left downtown. Now, as we come back to this protest here, we did talk about how some deputies were able to remove some of those protesters, and now we're hearing that some of them may have been arrested. Let's go to our very own Christopher Sine, who's now in the studio, and you've got some brand new information just coming to you.
Allison, just now coming to me from my sources, I am confirming here from the ABC 15 Live Desk that now 3 arrests have been made, and according to those in the know here and involved with this situation, they're telling me 3 arrests so far. The arrests come from not the protest, but the blocking of a public roadway, and that is a misdemeanor, but it is still a crime to block that public roadway. So far 3 arrests. Something else noteworthy here, this isn't really a big surprise, and this may actually, according to my police sources, play more into the hands of Donald Trump.
over the issue of immigration. It is a